Faith Howard Mooney, and this is Inside the TMC Family. And I have someone that I am just delighted to introduce to our TMC family today, Magna DeMauro. I'm so sorry about that. Who is the AVP of Mortgage Underwriting at FAIRWINDS Credit Union. Thank you for doing this with me.
Hi, Faith. Nice to see you.
Yeah, you too. We had the opportunity to meet when we were doing the Last Week in Mortgage Today a number of months ago. And we were just talking about this off air that I don't know if it's like the glasses thing or what, but we instantly had this like great connection with each other. And so I've been very excited to do this interview and have everybody learn a little bit more about you. But before we do that, do you want to say just a few words about who FAIRWINDS is?
Absolutely. FAIRWINDS is an Orlando-based credit union that's been around since 1949, so just a little bit. And our mission is changing members' lives through their financial journey their journey to financial freedom. I said that a little backwards. But we want our members to be financially free. We're one of the very few credit unions, if any, that don't want you to be in debt. And if you get in debt, we want you to be a smart debt.
Yeah. That is an absolutely fabulous mission to have. I think it just is very supportive of the consumer. And that's what credit unions kind of are all about, is really, really supporting strongly their membership base that they have.
Yes.
Well, let's hop into it. I'm excited to hear a little bit more about you. Tell me, what was your first job ever?
First job ever was right out of high school. I worked for a bank that's no longer around. It was called Southeast Bank.
Okay.
It was a Miami-based bank, and it had been around for a long time, back in 1982. And what I did there is I was opening the mail where people sent in their mortgage payments. That was my first job right out of high school. I don't think I knew how to spell mortgage at the time, but it was fun, and I was making some money, and it was great.
Yeah. And you were ironically opening, number one, people were sending mortgage payments in that manner,
Yes.
which people don't do much anymore.
Correct.
But number two, you were opening mortgage payments at your first
Correct.
job. How
Correct.
funny. So, how did you then transition from working for that bank? And what was your path that led you into mortgage?
At Southeast Bank, I was very blessed. I was there for a long, long time, until they were bought out by First Union at some point. Things evolved because opening the mail, I think I was there about a year. And then I looked into another opportunity in the bank. It was in the real estate lending department. It's where they did warehouse lines for mortgage lenders.
Okay.
So I still wasn't really sure what a mortgage was, but we're lending other institutions money to warehouse their mortgage loans. So I kind of learned it backwards, I think. I learned the back end, how you finance it in, and then just kept growing and kept moving. Got some really great mentors, great people that taught me a lot along the way. And here I am. And I've done all parts of the mortgage business, from opening the mail to origination, to processing, to closing, to post-closing, compliance, underwriting. Underwriting is the part that's kind of stuck with me the longest.
Yeah.
Because I like the challenge of finding a way to make something work.
Yeah, it's like working on a puzzle, right? You're putting a
Absolutely.
puzzle together and finding that exact place that works best for everything. So you're a really well-rounded person in the mortgage space, which I think is just awesome. What if in starting out that way, I think I may know the answer to this, but I'm kind of curious about how you would answer it. What advice would you give somebody who's coming in new that maybe somebody didn't tell you and you kind of like learned on your own as you went along, that you think would be helpful for them in starting out a career in mortgage?
There's a couple of things, actually. First of all, understand that mortgage has two G's. Let's start with the really basic. Once you get past that, the two things. It's important to network and have connections, because through my network and my connections is what opened the next door and the next door and the next door and got me to where I am today.
Yeah.
And
Love
without
that.
those networks or connections, I don't know that I would have been as successful as I've been able to garner. But also, understand that you don't need to know everything, right? Before the advent of Google searches and things like that, there were these big old books that you had the guidelines in and you had to search it. You weren't expected to know all of that, but you needed to know where to look or who to ask. So that
Right.
goes back to the networking thing, that you need to know people
Yeah.
and make friendships and have people. You phone a friend, develop your phone a friend system.
That still applies. You know, some things don't apply
Absolutely.
from back then to now. I was the crank the paper into the printer when I processed. So I was from back in, you know, that non-technology day as well. And some things from then don't apply, but that's one that I think still always applies, the people aspect
Yeah. And
of our
actually,
industry.
I think one more thing too is understand what it is that you're doing, especially now with automation. Automation does a lot of things and you don't understand the whys behind a bunch of things. Since I grew up learning the whys, I used to have to do a truth and lending by hand on my calculator.
Right.
So when somebody asks me, how did you get to this APR? What's your fine? I could explain it with no problem because I knew it and I understand it. And even now, when things go wrong, it's like, did we look at this? Why would you even think of that? It's like, well, that's kind of the basis of what this is, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
understanding the whys to think, I think, is also important.
Yeah. Those are great words of wisdom for people in our industry at any point, really, honestly, in their career. If not, if you weren't in mortgage, like what would we find you doing?
What do you think I would be doing?
Traveling, probably. I mean, from a work standpoint, I don't know. You're so vibrant. I don't know. You
Um,
could do tons of
I,
things.
I'm actually going on my first trip abroad. I've never been to Europe. The first time I'm going, I mean, I leave next week. I've never traveled. I would love to travel. I think I'm going to come back with a really vicious travel bug. But no, what I would be doing if I wasn't in mortgage lending would be teaching.
Oh, that totally makes sense. Yes, yes. And
Yeah,
is there, I'm going to take another question from that. What would you want to teach? If you were teaching
okay.
something, what would you want to teach?
Very specific. I like the little people. I like the people that are under the age of 6 and 7. I don't like when they get sarcastic teenagers and no,
You
no.
wouldn't be a
Um,
junior high. You wouldn't be a junior high teacher then. You would be
if I could
elementary.
be sarcastic, yeah, but I think I can get in a lot too much trouble like that too.
Yeah.
Actually, during when the mortgage economy went south and everything dried up, I did consulting, but consulting wasn't enough to keep me going. I went back to school and got my teaching degree.
You
I,
did?
and I was actually directing a bunch of preschools, and I loved it, but it doesn't pay the bills, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the things that the education system, it's like some of the most important jobs sometimes don't hold people because of that reason. I think that's really kind of sad. You guys have been with us for a while now. Um, and I would just love to hear from you what your favorite thing about being in the TMC family is.
I don't have one. I have many.
Give me a couple then.
Okay. Well, first and foremost, it's the people.
Yeah.
Yourself, Ryan, Amy, Sarah, you guys are all wonderful. But in addition to you guys, the people that you make connections with, the people that you meet along the conferences and the calls and the collab lab, all of it, it is wonderful. I absolutely love the 12 days of TMC at Christmas time. Loved it. Love. I thought it was absolutely fun. And then that community and family approach. It completely aligns with the whole credit union philosophy
Hmm.
because the credit union philosophy is family, collaborating,
Yeah.
sharing, and you guys have that.
Yeah.
So it's a
Oh,
perfect marriage of the two.
oh, well, I appreciate that. We love working with you too, and love helping you with anything that you at all need. And I always say it's all about the people. For me, it no matter what the topic is, whether it's personal or professional, I believe that same thing, as I think most of our team does as well. So that's kind of why the culture is what it is. This has been delightful. I always love talking with you. I hope you have the most fantastic time on your trip. And let's get back together and talk after you get back and find out whether that travel bug hit you.
Yeah, I'm fully expecting it. But yes, thank you so very much, Faith. I appreciate this. This has been a lot of fun. So thank you for thinking of me.
Of course, of course. We'll talk soon.